coming to you from Jezero crater on the surface of Mars. This is Mr. C.
Eighth graders, Thursday. Happy Thursday to you. Hey, number that white sheet right off the bat to 5, 6-ish. Okay. And name, date, period, upper right hand corner, 1 through, let's say 6. It might go to 10. Okay. So white sheet. And you're numbering to, for starters, 6. Hey, I wanted to show you this. This gets you 5 points if you're interested. Okay. If you happen to see one of these babies, what is it? Some of you might happen to have this particular tree in your yard. Hands up if you do. Of course, I can't see your hands, but I'm curious if any of you have a jacaranda tree. It's from South America, but they're all over Arizona. And they're blooming right now, and they're gorgeous with their purple flowers. So if you see a jacaranda, now don't Pinocchio me. If you honestly see a jacaranda tree, on a sheet of white paper, put I saw a jacaranda, get a parent signature, turn it in, easy peasy for 5 points. Okay? So easy. Hey, I want to make these last weeks of science go by quickly. I know. Like I said yesterday, it's the, coming up on the end of the quarter, and summer's coming, and you're talking about your summer plans maybe, and all of that. I get that. I get it. So I'm going to try every day if I remember. So, and you could send me a message on chat if I forget. To show you a front seat of a roller coaster most days. I've got one up for you today. So a little video of you riding in the front seat of Nitro, I think it is, at Six Flags somewhere. I don't know exactly where it is. But anyway, good luck. Have fun with it. I'm not going on any of those roller coasters. So I do not want to reveal my stomach contents to anybody else and to myself. So what is he talking about? Reveal his stomach contents. Barf. Oh, that. Yeah. Don't want to be doing that. So anyway, look for a jacaranda. So maybe you'll find one. Then I want to show you this. I was trying to make the point to you yesterday that the way you know something is moving, like we have a hard time realizing we're rotating at 1,000 miles an hour. I mentioned that yesterday. Because the sun, the moon, stars will go across the sky slowly. So because the earth is so big. The same thing with revolution. We're revolving at 67,000 miles an hour. But because we have such a long orbit around the sun, it takes a long time for the background stars to change and change their position, like Orion is doing right now. Orion is setting earlier and earlier and tracking to the west, and we're about ready to lose it. So, and the Big Dipper has moved into position overhead. So I'll get to that in a little bit. So how do you know if something is moving? Motion. Here's how you know. Watch this. Now watch this. It's cool. Look at this. Is that building moving? That's a high-rise in Tokyo, Japan. Is it moving? Is it moving? Yes or no? Is it moving? A little bit more. Check this out. Watch it. Keep watching. Maybe a little bit more. Holy cow, those buildings are swaying. I know. It's the third largest earthquake ever measured by a moment magnitude seismograph. It was a 9.2 in 2011 in Japan, and it caused one of the biggest tsunamis ever, too. Anyway, I thought you'd find that interesting. How do you know something is moving? Because of reference points that it moves against. So, how do you know I took off my hat and I'm waving my hat? Because it's moving in front of me. I'm the reference point in that case. How do you know I'm moving now? Spinning in my spinny chair, having too much fun. How do you know? Against the background behind me. That is how you know. So anyway, let me ask you a few questions. I wanted to just say a few more things, just by way of reminder. Please remember those science activities and microscope activities, and work it out with Mr. Phillip so you can make sure you've got all those. When are they due? They are due, it's 3 weeks from yesterday. It's the 19th of May that they're due. You've got 3 weeks. Most of you have them mostly done, I would say. Probably a few of you have them all done. So, what do I want? On A, 1 through 4, B, 1 through 4, C, 1 through 4, D, 1 through 4. On all 16 of those, I want you to answer each question well on those little cards in the back of the room, in each little kind of cubby or cave area. And then on the microscopes, what do I want? I want a brief, a not detailed diagram. So a non-detailed diagram and then a label. What is it? What are you looking at? Those are some of the neatest, coolest things that you can look at under a microscope. So look carefully at them. So it might be a long time before you use a microscope again. Maybe not. Maybe your freshman year. Maybe. I think they use them here at SDA in high school biology. So anyway, please do that. Okay? Get those babies done. And then, like I say, I want to make science go down as easily as it can the last little bit. So I'll try to do a video a day. I've got another video for you today that I think is interesting. So that means I'm talking less. So I've got 26 minutes to handle all this today, and then a 1-minute video, and then a 3-minute video. So, okay. So anyway, on your white sheet, here we go, on your white sheet. So just a few quick questions for you from yesterday. See how you go on this. Okay. So number one, last week Laura had a major point she was trying to make. What was it? I mentioned it yesterday. What was Laura's major point from yesterday? I'll give you a hint. I'll prime the pump. Here's what she said. When you're starting to do a new thing that you've really not done, what's her recommendation? So that's number one. What does she recommend? And the second thing, I showed you yesterday a supermoon. We're in supermoon country right now. It's that time of the year. We've got a supermoon. So now the moon is brighter and it appears to be larger. So number two, why is it brighter these nights? Right now it is a waning gibbous, so it was full, but it's shrinking some. But why is it brighter? It really is brighter. And why does it appear to be larger? What's the reason? On your white sheet, don't look at anybody else's. This is you. It's all on you, baby. It's on you. And on our quiz tomorrow, yeah, I've decided we're having one. How many points? 15 to 20. So anything I cover today, or mention could be covered tomorrow. I'm not going to say what will be. Not going to write it out in RenWeb. I may put it down like this. These topics might be considered on the quiz tomorrow. So I might say it that way. All right. Number 3, it's about proteins. A question about proteins. I'll ask about proteins tomorrow. So number 3, why? First, I'll ask this. What are the building blocks of proteins? Number 3, the building blocks that proteins are made of. There's 20 different ones. What are they called? The different building blocks proteins are made of. That do every job in your body. Every job in your body. Thousands and thousands of different jobs are being done right now by proteins. Number 4, how can you get such long chains of proteins if there's only 20 building blocks? Explain that. There's only 20 building blocks, but you can get chains that are up to 34,000 long. Hey, it's easy peasy. Don't make it too hard. What's the reason for that? If you've only got 20 building blocks, how can you get 150 for a minimum one or 34,000 for a big guy? How could that be? And then number 5. Now, I don't even remember if I told you this yesterday. I'm going to tell you now, let you put it down. Okay? So, the helicopter Ingenuity on Mars, that Perseverance took up there, and it's flying around now. So I want to know in number 5, it has 2 major jobs. Give me one of those jobs that it's supposed to do. What's it supposed to do? Is number 5. Now, I don't have time to go over these because of time. I've got so much to cover. And I've got those 4 videos, right, to show you. And I've already burned up 12 minutes. So I've got to hustle. Okay, here we go. Now, be honest, okay? Be honest about this. Number 1, what was Laura's major point last week? You can do anything you practice. If you practice, you'll be able to do it. You'll get better at it. Or you could say you'll get better at anything that you practice. That idea. Number 2, why is the moon brighter these nights, especially a couple of nights ago, and it appears to be larger? Not really. Why? Because it's closer to the Earth right now. And I'll ask you this. Do I have this? I hope so. Yeah, I do have it. I'll ask you this most likely tomorrow. Here it is. Why do we get a supermoon? Because right here and then down below, right there, the moon is closer to the Earth. And I'll ask you, perhaps, why is it closer? Because its orbit is elliptical. It's a flattened circle. An ellipse. Elliptical. An elliptical orbit. So, it's on the table for tomorrow. And something about constellations on the table tomorrow. Here, you're going to go after those constellations? So now these last couple of nights it's been cloudy, so that you may not be able to do it, but give it a shot. So anyway, the answer to number 2. The answer to number 2 was the moon is closer. Number 3, amino acids, building blocks of proteins. Number 4, how in the world can you get 34,000 when there's only 20 different ones? Just use them over and over and over again. Easy peasy, it's logical. You just use them multiple times. And then number 5, what is Ingenuity's job? 2 jobs. 1, not crash. Fly without crashing. And number 2, take photos above Mars. Basically it. Don't crash, fly around, don't crash, and take photos. So now, of course, they don't want it to crash. Of course they don't. But things can go wrong, right? So, and then number 6, a bonus that's going to work. See if you know this on your white sheet. So, what's the chance that 150 amino acid protein could form by chance, accidentally? 1 over 10 to the what? It'll be a bonus. 1 over 10 to the what? A whole lot of zeros going on. 1 over 10 to the, tomorrow it'll be a bonus, 164th. 164. Holy cow. 164. 1 numerator, denominator, 1 with 164 zeros behind it. No chance. No chance in 500 lifetimes. Like you couldn't win the lottery if you played the lottery every minute of 100 lifetimes, or 1,000 lifetimes, or 1,000,000 lifetimes. You still wouldn't win the lottery. Just the chance is so small. It's that kind of idea. Okay? So anyway, all of that. Now, just a few things to go over with you. I already mentioned a push or a pull. It's on the table for tomorrow. Hope it's in your journal. A push or a pull in physics is a force. A push or a pull. Okay? How can you tell motion? An object moves against background. It's got a reference point. I'll ask that again. Okay? I guarantee it. Okay. What is the formula for speed? D over T. Speed is D over T. D over T. Don't do it again. D over T. What does it stand for? Distance over time. So if you travel 2,500 miles and you do that in 5 hours, what is your speed? D was 2,500 miles. Divide it by the time, D over T, 5 hours. What was your miles per hour? 500 miles per hour again. By the way, that's about the distance to Hawaii from the West Coast. It's about 3,000 miles from Phoenix. So, anyway, D over T is the formula for speed. Velocity, I want you to know what velocity is. Velocity is just speed in a certain direction. So, speed, let's say 60 miles an hour, that would be about my speed when I'm driving up the 101. So, speed in a given direction. So, my speed on the 101 going up to school on Saturdays is usually about 65 to 70. And everybody's passing me. So, velocity is your speed in a certain direction. 70 miles an hour to the north. So, and then when you accelerate is speed up, or slow down, or change direction. Speed up, slow down, or change direction. Speed up, slow down, change direction. That's acceleration. I already did force. Now, Newton's laws. Newton had some really cool laws. And then I've got to hurry because I've got to go over the kinds of friction with you, and I want you to see this video on friction. So, okay, still doing pretty good. So, anyway, Newton's 3 laws of motion on the table for tomorrow. Number 1, he said an object that's at rest, that means not moving, will continue to stay at rest, not move, unless it's acted upon by a force, like I just pushed it. So an object at rest will remain at rest, unless a force is applied to it. A moving object will continue to move in a straight line in the same direction, unless it's acted upon by a force. So that's the first law of motion. An object at rest will stay at rest, not move. Rest means not move, unless it's acted upon by a force. An object that's moving will keep moving in that direction at that speed unless it's acted upon by a force. Okay, so there's that. Then there is the second law of motion. It is force, I should have written this out, force equals mass times acceleration. It's not that hard when you hear it. F equals ma, his second law. F equals ma. So the force that an object has, a moving object has, depends on its mass. If the mass goes up, then the force that it would have would go up. So if you apply more of a force to an object, okay, its force is going to be equal to multiplying whatever its mass is times its acceleration. Then it has a greater force. Okay? A is acceleration. In a way, it's saying how fast it's going. So more and more force as more and more mass and more acceleration. As they both increase, it's multiplied. Ooh, it really goes up. So let's say that you run into a mosquito, at 0.1 miles an hour. You run into a mosquito. What force will that mosquito have on you? You run into it. So the mosquito smacks you in the head. Bam! It was going 0.1 miles an hour. Did that mosquito have much mass? Did it have much mass? Hardly any mass at all. So is it going to have much force? Probably. And was it going very fast? No. So it's got low mass, right? And low acceleration, so therefore the force is low. Okay? Makes sense? Not much force if the object wasn't going very fast and it didn't have much mass. Not a lot of matter, not a lot of atoms. Now, different story. How about this? How about, let's say that you're playing volleyball and someone spikes the volleyball and they hit it straight down, and they were elite, they're jumpers. They jump out of the gym. So they jump way up and they hit it straight down, hit you right in the head with it. Okay? And it was traveling 60 miles an hour. What's the force like this time? Does the volleyball have more mass than a mosquito? Yeah? Was it traveling pretty fast? Did it have quite a lot of acceleration? Yeah? What's the force like? Probably it's going to leave a lump on your head because it had a lot of force. So, anyway, I think you're getting the idea. More force to an object if it's got more mass, the more force, and the more acceleration, the more force. That's Newton's second law. First law, an object at rest stays at rest unless acted upon by a force. An object that's moving will keep moving in a straight line in the same direction unless it's acted upon by a force. F equals ma, force equals mass times acceleration. The greater the mass, the greater the force, the greater the acceleration, the greater the force, the greater both, the greater the multiplier, really the greater the force. And then the last law, his very last law, is the law of action-reaction. So you just want to blow a balloon up. Yeah, probably, yeah. So Newton said if there's an action one way, the reaction will be equal the other way. So action that way, this is the jet engine law, by the way. So if you have a powerful action that way, the reaction is going to be powerful the other way. So action, reaction, his third law of motion. So Newton's laws. So just a little word about your homework tonight. Your homework is triple R, all that we just went over. Triple R it, go over it, and I will select from those questions tomorrow and ask you about motion, and I will ask you about velocity, speed in a certain direction, accelerate, speed up, slow down, or change direction. A force is a push or pull, Newton's laws. So, and then the other things I had mentioned. The last thing, I've got to do it quickly, and then you're going to make sure you pass in your paper with the kinds of friction. There's fluid friction, where you go through water or air. That's fluid friction, where the air or the water rubs on whatever's going through it. There is static friction, where there's no movement at all. The two objects are just stationary on each other, so no motion whatsoever. There's sliding friction, just where two objects slide over each other. Sliding friction, I'll ask you about these tomorrow. And then rolling friction, like wheels on a car. So anyway, I'm going to turn you over to Mr. Phillip. He's going to show you a 3-minute video on frictions. It's pretty good. And then you're going to ride the Nitro at Six Flags. So triple R for that quiz tomorrow. Mr. Phillip.